All right, let's see what we have for Chapter 8, some of these multiple choice questions. Question 1 says, a current liability must be paid out of, and we have 4 choices. Okay, well, anytime you see one of these both questions, just skip past those until you've had a chance to read the rest of the choices, because we can't select this if we don't know what C and D are. So let's look at choice B first. It says a current liability must be paid out of current assets. Well, what I told you in the lecture is that current liabilities are usually paid out of current assets. The question says must. So this is probably not going to be our answer. Let's look at choice C. It says current assets or the creation of another current liability. Okay, this would be this creation of another current liability that we're talking about here would be, let's say that we have a debt to a supplier and we call that an accounts payable, and we can't pay it, and the supplier says, okay, well, I'm going to relieve you of your debt to me on this accounts payable. So the accounts payable goes away, but now you're going to sign a more formal notes payable with me. Your accounts payable was due within 30 days. Your note payable is due in 3 months. Both of those are less than 1 year, so they are both current liabilities. So this is a true answer. So we know that C is a good answer, but let's look at D. Choice D says either current assets or refinanced as a long-term liability. Well, let's say that we have an accounts payable to supplier number 1, another accounts payable to supplier number 2, and a third accounts payable to supplier number 3. And we're concerned about it. We don't have the money to pay all 3 of these bills, and let's just say that these particular vendors are not willing to create a note payable for us. So we might go to a bank, and let's say that we owe the first person $500 and the second person $2,000 and the third person, third company, $2,500. We might borrow $5,000 and set up a note payable due within, let's just say, 2 years with a bank. Okay, so we have essentially refinanced this debt. That's not really what it is, but we have gotten rid of current liabilities and replaced it with a long-term liability. Make sense? All right, very good. So if that's the case, I told you that C and D were both good answers. Therefore, our answer is A, choices C and D. Let's look at the next one. It says, which of the following is not a current liability? And we again have 4 choices. All right, so hopefully you are aware that anytime you see the word payable, you in fact have a liability, but your question asks specifically for current liabilities, or rather, which of the following is not a current liability. So let's see here. Accounts payable. These are usually due in less than 30 days. 30 days or less. Okay? So accounts payable is definitely a current liability because 30 days or less is less than 1 year. So we have a current liability. Let's go look at our other payable, wages payable. Well, think about a typical job. You usually get paid between 1 week and 1 month after you perform the work. Therefore, both wages payable and accounts payable are current liabilities. Okay, unearned revenue from the lecture, we know that unearned revenue is going to be earned within 12 months. Okay, a period of 12 months or less. Okay, and unearned revenue is definitely a liability. It is also a current liability. That only leaves prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses are actually assets. Assets are the opposite of liabilities. Therefore, choice B is our answer. We'll go ahead and finish this video up and come back and work some of these other questions.